show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or are watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it's called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions. Well, not everyone uses logic. For that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Also, the subscriber mode has been enabled, meaning if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you need to subscribe to the channel. I also have another channel called Latina Diaspora, where I discuss issues affecting Latinos, particularly Latinos residing in the United States. The link to the other channel is in the description. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel. You've been a supporter from the beginning or just recently joined. I really appreciate your support. I also want to send a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media. I also want to send a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into devices. And a huge shout out to those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So if you have not done so, one thing that I suggest you do is subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. So the topic for tonight is my thoughts on the Democratic National Convention, which occurred this week. But before we get into the discussion, we're going to have another moment of what the heck this is. Now, I'm going to explain to you how this what the heck moment occurred. It occurred during the Democratic National Convention when Governor Tim Walz was giving his acceptance speech. And at one part of the speech, he spoke directly to his children who happened to be in the audience. And he was expressing his love, his genuine love for them, and how important they are, all of his children. One of his children named Gus, who is, I believe, 17 years old, who is disabled. He has a learning disability. Apparently, he's not able to speak. He got up and he got very emotional, and he was expressing emotion. He was expressing love. He was expressing pride towards his father. I mean, think about it. Imagine you are a teenager, okay? Whether you be without any issues, mental, physical, what have you, or if you have disabilities, and your father is up there giving it the most important speech of his life, and then he takes the time during his acceptance speech to be the vice president candidate to express love. Okay, that was a touching moment. Okay, I saw it, and you know what? I felt warm for Gus. Unfortunately, you have some conservative media people who are Republicans. And this is coming from the so-called pro-family party. You have certain media people who were Trump supporters mocking this kid, ridiculing this kid, calling him weird, calling him emotional. And actually ridiculing a disabled kid whose only crime is just expressing in a non-verbal way his love for his father. Okay? Imagine you're in an arena with about 15 to 20,000 people, and then people are being touched by your father's speech, and then your own father takes the time to express his love, and then of course you're going to respond. Shame on those conservative media people for mocking this kid. Okay, because supposedly the Republican Party is the party of family. Okay, apparently it's not. It's not the family of family. It has a member that's disabled. If talking about a person that has a non-verbal disability. Okay. Now, to their credit, kind of, they took back their statements. They deleted their statements, which was entered in Twitter. But I'll do one better. They should not have made those statements in the first place. If that's how you truly feel about a disabled teenager who, in a touching moment, is expressing his love for his father, the best thing you should have done is not say anything at all. Or better yet, just change the channel. Okay. Now, grant you, there's a lot we don't know about Tim Walz. He does come across as a progressive and things of that nature. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. But this is the thing. Here's yes. Here's the thing. We're talking about a nonverbal disabled teenager expressing genuine affection and love for his father. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? And he is blessed because his father is alive. Many of us do not have that type of a warm relationship with our own fathers. Okay. Actually, Irby, I'm talking about what happened when Governor Tim Walz was giving his acceptance speech, and in part of the speech, he spoke about how his children, his family are very extremely important, and that he was proud of them. And then one of his children, Gus, who was disabled, has a learning disability, is nonverbal, was expressing genuine love for his father, and how you have certain conservative media people who are ridiculing a disabled person simply because he was showing love towards his father. And that's disgusting. Okay? And again, if you cannot say anything positive about a person, don't say anything at all. Okay. Actually, it's it's on YouTube. Yeah, that is disgusting. Okay, it's on YouTube, and let me tell you something. If I was a teenage boy, and my father was delivering a speech like that, and declares love for me and my siblings, I mean, it would be an emotional thing as well. But it kind of tells you the hypocrisy regarding some members of the Republican Party and some members of the MAGA orbit, so to speak. I don't want to say all of them think that way, but some do. And that's disgusting. Disgusting, disgusting. And I had to talk about that. Okay. Now, eventually, I'm going to try to get away with talking politics unless things get happening. Yeah, that's the thing. My sentiments exactly. The Republican Party that supposedly value family values, mocking a disabled individual or simply expressing love for his father. So eventually, I'm going to try to steer away, at least until it comes time for the debate, which I will give my appraisal, because there are other things that need to be discussed. Um, I mean, I have said what had to be said. Okay, I got a joke. What do you call a chick who eat a lot of beans and sing country music? Um, that's a good question. I wish I knew. And I just want to let people know that Don Amano has his channel, so I'm gonna ask that you show some love to him and subscribe to his channel and check out his content. So I'm gonna at least temporarily get off the political talk. I'm gonna talk about other things because oh my goodness. Okay, okay, very cute. Okay, so once we get to the season of the debate, once we get to the debates, I will share my point of view. And with that being said, um, we're gonna go to the main topic. Now, before I continue, let me just state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and express their views regarding the topic at hand, they can do so. Let me just state again, if I've never seen you before or heard from you anywhere, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that no one flash anything inappropriate which would cause the people of YouTube to take down the stream. Now, I'm going to give you my thoughts regarding the Democratic National Convention, okay, which ended yesterday. And of course, like all conventions, you have a whole bunch of speeches, quite a few of them people that you never heard about before. There's also like video clips um, from people from different areas of life and things of that nature. Also have a few so-called testimonials regarding why the populace should support the Harris Walz ticket. Okay. Now, one thing that was very interesting regarding the convention, not only the number of Republicans that actually spoke up supporting Kamala Harris, but you also had people who actually work with Donald Trump, okay? And there was one situation which was really sad when you think about it. This was back in January 6, 2021, when you had the insurrection, which many people believe instigated by the Orange Man. So this press secretary actually texts at the time First Lady Melania Trump, which shouldn't we publish a message saying, well, peaceful demonstration is okay, but violent insurrection is not. And then Melania Trump responded, no. That led that press secretary to resign from the Trump administration. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, and you know what? You gotta admit, Michelle Obama and not only Michelle but Barack Obama are great speakers. Okay, a lot of them are great speakers. Especially talking about the part when Donald Trump doesn't realize that the job he's looking for is one of those black jobs. So that was a very cute retort, so to speak, regarding the ex-president. Okay. Also, one thing that's very distinct and unique is the comparison between when the Republican Party conducted their roll call of the states as far as delegates supporting a given candidate. With the Republican, with the RNC, it was dry, dead, and there were people that did not want to get up and speak. Okay, I mean something like, the state of Oklahoma pledges its 35 votes for Donald J. Trump. Okay. Now that's about as exciting as watching paint dry. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, but when you compare that, and then when you compare to when the DNC, yeah, well, to be perfectly honest, a lot of people were sleeping. Okay, a lot of people were sleeping. I need to step away for a moment. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Uh, you know what? To be perfectly honest, watching paint dry would be more exciting than watching the roll call of the RNC. But I mean, they actually had a disc jockey, and then when they got to Georgia, boy, they really had, a big surprise. Little John came down to announce Georgia. I mean, let me tell you something. It was like a celebration. Okay, with the RSC, it was like a morgue. It was like a funeral. With the DNC, it was like a celebration. Okay. And the one thing that struck me a lot, that a lot of the people that spoke supported Donald Trump. These were former mega people. Okay. How they voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Some of them voted for Trump in 2020, but they just could not, in their heart of hearts, vote for Donald Trump again. Particularly that should Donald Trump get elected to the White House, you know what's going to happen. Project 2025 will go into effect. Okay. Which means death knell to unions, death knell to uh, the checks and balances, death knell to the Department of Education, okay, and the death knell to democracy. Okay, well, that I wouldn't know. That I would not know. Okay. But one thing that I will always respect Joe Biden is that he had the good sense to realize that he was not going to win, and that he put the country ahead of his ego and stepped down and threw his support for Kamala Harris. And then the last night when Kamala Harris gave her speech, okay, and let me make this perfectly clear. I don't agree 100% with what she believes. There's many um, items which I have issues with. I mean, and one of them is when it comes to reproductive rights, so to speak. Also, when it comes to the agenda of the LGBTQ plus community, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against the community. I believe everyone should be able to live as they live, love who they love, as long as they don't try to impose their dogma on other people. Okay. And what I find bizarre is that Donald Trump getting on Truth Social, getting up and talking about all his incoherent rants um, regarding the Obamas, regarding Kamala Harris, regarding Tim Walz, regarding the DNC. I mean, seriously, what do you expect? A loving? I mean, look, the fact of the matter is when the parties have these conventions, there's gonna be a little bit of roasting, and they're gonna make a case as far as why they should accept their vision of America and not the opposition. Okay? Unfortunately, Donald Trump never learned how to lose gracefully. I mean, he still has denied the outcome of the 2020 election. Okay? And he already made it clear that if he does not win, he's gonna believe that he was cheated. So we might have another insurrection again. Okay, I just hope the powers that be are prepared. So in case some of the more radical members of the MAGA crowd decide to get ugly and try to riot. Okay. And again, I'm going to continue to make this point that I've been saying for months. Support whoever you wish to support. Just do yourself the favor and actually do research regarding their platforms. Okay? What is it that each candidate wants to do? And then after doing your due diligence, if you still want to support the person, fine. At least this way you know full well what to expect from the candidate. And today it was announced that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is suspending his campaign, and he's thrown his support to Donald Trump. Okay? Now, what's the crazy part is this: even though he suspended his campaign, I mean, he's still going to be listed on the ballot in several states. So, I mean, I do not know a great deal about him, but what little I do know is that he has denied the use of vaccines against COVID-19, and he has some weird philosophies and things of that nature. So, I guess we birds of a feather flock together. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my. Yeah. Well, you know what? They deserve each other. That's all I can say. Okay, just gonna share my screen. So just like when I actually shared the platform regarding the RNC, I'm going to share the platform regarding the DNC. Okay. So this is the platform. Okay. And these are the goals of the DNC. Okay. We start with protecting Americans and recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. I got news for you folks. COVID-19 has never left. In fact, it looks like it's trying to make a comeback. Okay. And they're talking about putting masks on at my job, which is like that's about as much fun as watching paint drying. So let's see. So I'm just gonna read to you. Okay. So this is, excuse me. Now, of course, it talks about the failure of Trump dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is what the DNC wishes to do. Okay. The next thing is building a stronger, fairer economy. Okay. I think that's self-explanatory. The next thing is achieving universal affordable quality health care. Now, one thing that people are dealing with is medical debt. Medical debt because of procedures which can cost thousands of dollars. So you'll be interested to see how they're going to achieve that. Maybe they'll make some changes regarding the Affordable Care Act. The next thing is protecting communities and building trust and reforming our credible justice system. Okay. Now here's something that's interesting. Healing the soul of America. Okay. So it begins with trying to heal the division that exists, and of course, protecting civil rights when it comes to voting, education, and reproductive rights. Okay. The next goal is restoring and strengthening our democracy. Now, there's been many movements to try to restrict the ability of the populace to vote, mainly in Republican states, because Republicans fear when people, particularly people of color, exercise their right to vote, because that means most likely they'll support the Democrats. And of course, it includes enforcing voting rights and reforming campaign reform. And then providing a world-class education in every zip code, basically trying to deal, from what appears to be, trying to deal with the educational inequities in various communities and renewing American leadership. Which place, in order for our nation to be strong abroad, we need to be strong domestically. Okay. So that's basically the DNC in a nutshell. So let me make this perfectly clear. While Kamala Harris is doing well as far as the polls are concerned, I mean, this is going to be a very close campaign. There are going to be moments where either candidate appears to be leading. Okay, and of course, the candidates are going to have to state their case as far as why their vision for America is appropriate compared to the vision of their opponent. Okay. Now, in a couple of weeks, there's going to be a debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I think it's going to be interesting to say the least. Okay. Considering the fact that you're going to have a prosecutor debating a convict. Okay. Yes, he's a convict because he's been found guilty of 37 criminal charges. Okay. Now, you can believe that it's a political witch hunt, or you want. The fact of the matter is, the prosecution made its case that there was evidence to have a trial. The trial was done. The prosecutor made his case, and Donald Trump was found guilty of 34 criminal acts because basically he tried to try his affair with a corn star. Okay. Something similar to what Bill Clinton went through when they tried to impeach him, because basically, how could I say this without sounding crass? Because he got some intern to provide oral stimulation on his unit. Okay. So the Republicans could not defeat Bill Clinton, so they had to resort to try to impeach him based on that. One thing we have to bear in mind, that this is not the first time that a president has been unfaithful towards his wife. Okay, we have many examples of presidents being unfaithful to their wives. We have had presidents who were racist. We have presidents who owned slaves. Okay. Washington owned slaves. Jefferson owned slaves. Madison, I think, owned slaves. Andrew Jackson owned slaves. And in fact, one would argue he was one of the more racist presidents in U.S. history. And again, I gotta keep saying, people, there's a reason why the term is commander-in-chief and not pastor-in-chief, okay? Because, look, while we would like to think that the people who occupy the position as President of the United States are people of high moral character, it's not always the case. JFK had numerous affairs during his term in the White House. Okay. And actually, it could have been, if he was president in a different time, it could be a security risk, which means that there might be certain individuals that have compromised, either compromise or put the president in a compromising situation. So we have to bear that in mind, okay? And that we have to, we cannot have what I like to call a Disney version of the office of the president. We got to keep it real. There have been men who rose to the occasion during times of crisis. Abraham Lincoln is a good example. FDR is another good example. James Madison during the war, 1812. Again, John Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which could have easily spread to a nuclear war. Let's see. No, what I'm saying, okay, my point is this, Irving, that we cannot hold the belief that the men who occupied the position as president were all men of high moral character. You know what? It was a different time. Because, look, the reality is this. Had there been social media during Kennedy's day, we're talking about scandal. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, when Kennedy was deleted, he had went down to Dallas for a campaign stop, because the reality is, I guess he suspected that the re-election campaign would be difficult. Okay, so of course he wanted to go down there and try to stay his case, so to speak. Of course, we all know that he was deleted. Okay. And as a result, Lyndon B. Johnson became president. Okay. Which is why I am amazed that Donald Trump actually picked J.D. Vance to be his running mate. Okay. Because I think, just taking a look of everything so far, he's definitely not ready for the campaign. Okay. He has made some inappropriate remarks regarding women who don't have children, calling them lonely cat ladies. Okay. One thing we have to bear in mind, that there are women who would love to give birth to children, but because of some physical condition are not able. And then there are some women that, for whatever reason, made the decision not to bear children. And we have to respect their decisions, okay? Because one thing we have to bear in mind, we're not going through, men will never know what it is to go through 9 months of labor, 9 months of pregnancy, dealing with the morning sickness, dealing with postpartum depression, dealing with all the hormonal changes that exist when a woman's pregnant. Okay, so I don't know if there's any ladies in the audience, but if they want to chime in, maybe that might be something that I might overlook. Okay. Not to mention the weight gain. Um, Not to mention the fact that they, dealing with a woman who is pregnant does require a great deal of patience because of the mood swings and things of that nature. So, it's going to be very interesting when it's come time for the debates. It's also going to be very interesting with this, I think about 11 weeks before election day. A lot can happen in that time, okay? And of course, we're going to hear various election stories and things of that nature. And I'm sure there's going to be accusations and counter accusations and things of that nature. And of course, Donald Trump is going to continue with his shtick, talking about everything other than the issues, talking about how the DNC perform a coup, how Kamala Harris doesn't know anything, etc., etc., etc. Whatever you might feel about her, okay? The fact of the matter is, she was the DA for San Francisco. She was the DA for the state of California. She was the junior senator of California. And of course, she is the current vice president. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, and I should have mentioned this when I did the what the heck this is moment. But in a speech that the former wrestler Hulk Hogan actually gave, it was reported, alleged, that he wanted to drop a leg on Kamala Harris. In other words, that he wanted to do a wrestling hold on the current VP and possibly hurt her physically. Which is like, why on earth are you even talking about such a thing? Okay. Especially during this time when we're dealing with the woke culture. That's insane. And depending on how the vice president takes it, if Hulk Hogan's not careful, he might have a visit from the federal law enforcement authorities. Yeah, I was disappointed because I grew up loving watch Hulk Hogan when I was a kid, but that was like 10,000 years ago. This is the thing. And I'm going to give you my opinion for whatever it is. Anyone that's a Christian if they hate, they have a spirit of hate of which they need to be delivered. Okay, because to hate someone because of their ethnicity, to hate someone because of their gender, to hate someone because of their sexual orientation, to hate someone because of their status, to hate someone um, for their philosophy. That's not cool. Okay. Because the gospel is one of love and one of deliverance. And if Hulk Hogan is a racist, he needs to be delivered from that spirit of racism. Okay. But that's my spiel, so to speak. But in any case, I have been talking for almost an hour. And again, um, if anyone wants to hit the link and opine regarding the topic, you're more than welcome. If you wish to enter any further comments, you can do that as well. If no one wishes to enter any comments, or hit the link to join the panel, and I'll start to wrap this up. I will state this, that my next stream will be on Monday. I have not decided what's going to be the topic, but you will find out. Okay. But today I actually went to the supermarket without a cane, so that's an achievement for me because it means my knee is getting better. For the benefit of those of you who still don't know, 8 weeks ago I had a revised knee replacement, which what they did was they removed the artificial device and put in a new device on my knee. So the fact that now I'm able to walk short distance without a cane is a blessing. Okay. Now I see here we have a guest. So let me just state for the record, the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host or the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to your image. Some of the views people hold may be considered offenses to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. Good evening. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? This doggy farting. How's everything? I'm gonna go around and sing some. I'm gonna go around and sing some country music about me farting. How you doing, Jose?
Good evening, Don Armando.
Yeah, I'm chilling. How's everything?
I'm okay. It's just that whenever I don't speak, I have to mute myself. Good evening, Titi Juju. Just want to let everybody know that Titi Juju has her channel, so I just wanted to show some love to her and support her channel. Go ahead, Don Armando.
Yeah, I'm just chilling and everything like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go and make an avatar of a joke I just told. So might as well.
So, did you have a chance to watch the DNC this week?
No, I didn't actually. It was just I was just sleeping. To tell you the truth.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I didn't watch the entire thing because basically, I don't want to hear from some state representative from I don't care if Michigan talking about the orange stain. But some of the speeches were real good, particularly the Obamas and when Tim Walz gave his acceptance speech, and he mentioned his love for his children and how um, his son Gus, got emotional, showed his love. It was a real touching moment.
Gotcha. I mean, me, I haven't really, saw that because I'm not really into politics anyway. So it's just to the point that I'm actually dissatisfied with this two-party system. And the only thing that actually disappointed me today was the guy that was actually that me and my wife was going to support turned out to endorse Trump. I mean, you win some, you lose some. And the person where I mean is Robert Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, I saw it, and it's like, I mean, it does that. But in all fairness, he didn't have much of a shot to become president anyway.
Yeah, I know. It was just for the point that I'm like, yo, I can't stand the two-party system anymore. So I guess I'll have to go Cornell West.
Yeah. I mean, look, at this point, I'm gonna try to okay. I'm gonna try to steer away from the politics until it's time for the debate because it gets a little bit tedious after a while.
Yeah, it actually does.
But I love seeing how Trump is losing it every time um, Kamala Harris or Tim Walz or someone that talks anything about Trump.
Well, yeah, I guess these politicians are doing a good job then, making a person furious all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, let me tell you something. And what's crazy about it, when all the kafakos and all the screw ups that Trump has made, it's going to be a close election, nevertheless.
Yeah, all I'm just gonna say is like whatever the outcome is, I hate to say it, but everybody has to be armed with boxing gloves. Sorry to say, but it's the truth. Because when you have like when you have the far and the far right and the far left, when they're actually talking their stuff, it's not going to be a good look. So it'll be Antifa versus the Proud Boys again. It's going to be how they say out here in Philadelphia, it's going to be a nasty joint. So let's just wait and see.
Well, we already know that if Trump loses, he's going to claim that the election is rigged, and he'll probably give his marching orders for his mega sheep.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. What does he doesn't do? Let's be real. He always claims it's rigged. He's gonna say it's Ukraine's fault. Um, what other absurdities is? Oh yeah, the Democrats were the one that got me boomed on. The pew pew effect. I'm like the list goes on. It'll be funny if he wins and everything comes to order. They'll be like, it'll be an enlightenment for the people who are actually his supporters. So his supporters, most of them are just uncouth savages. Not all of them, just some. The ones who are actually fanatical with it. Now, I've met Donald Trump supporters that actually have sense. Just not on YouTube, though. That's all I gotta say.
Well, when it comes to the mega crowd, one thing we have to bear in mind that not all of them are the same. You have some that have some intelligence, and then you have some that that basically that they drank the Kool Aid very a great deal, and basically you know believe that Trump can do no wrong.
Exactly.
But I think it's going to be a very close election. Now, one thing, a lot of people are going to, they're not going to vote for Kamala Harris simply because she's a woman and supposedly she slept her way to the top, supposedly. But one thing we have to bear in mind, I mean, when you think about um, the men who've been presidents, a lot of them have stepped out of their wives. A lot of them have been racist. A lot of them have been a very low moral character. So, you know, don't. I mean, we got to keep it real and not try to, you know, paint Kamala
Yeah,
Harris, calling her everything but a child of God.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you actually look at it, right, and you see how most people are of low moral character, Republican and Democrat. This is my thing. They did like a documentary about Donald Trump, and you know how people who are of faith base was actually behind him. So when they actually did the documentary, they just found out like, okay, Donald Trump doesn't really have enough biblical knowledge. So that came after he got elected. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, well, one thing I'll never understand regarding the evangelical community. I mean, they take a look at Donald Trump, okay? Um, the way he speaks, the way he interacts, the lack of maturity, and the lack of moral character that he has, and the fact that there's still um, evangelicals that actually support him. But the crazy part, even the evangelicals and those who were normally would be huge allies of Donald Trump are saying they don't want anything to do with this individual.
I mean, if you actually look at it, it's all nothing but fanaticism at its finest hour. I mean, let's let's put it for our sector, right? Most of our haters are actually Trump supporters, right? So if you look at the fanaticism and zeal, and then you see some of the people that actually act like that they give a crap about Latinos, but at the same time, these are the guys who are actually using doxing tactics against somebody who ideologically disagrees with them. So therefore, if you really look at it, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party use doxing as a method to actually try to harass or try to suppress people's voices. Now, I'm saying that because if you really look at it, you have people who are of the far left that will actually go and dox Republican supporters and etc. Then you have Republican supporters who actually will dox and will try to give another person's address not only to law enforcement but to how should I say this, to deranged mentally ill people, so therefore they could do their bad bidding, all just because they got hurt over an opinion that they cannot really debate. So one thing I could actually say is you will have cooler heads within the Republican and Democratic Party. It's going to be the psychos and the people who actually have mental issues that are actually going to be fist fighting each other in the streets. I'm seeing it now. It's even to the point that you got certain people that they actually calling people who actually support the Democratic Party libtards because they're liberal, and then you have people on the Democratic side that actually called the Republicans how should I say troglodytes and Neanderthals. So when you actually see certain things that are actually happening in the world, and then you will see the conflict that is actually happening in the Middle East. I'm not going to go and mention the names of the two places because people might get demonetized because, this is YouTube. So, one thing I have to say is that when you see a certain sect of people who are actually protesting and calling people their brothers and everything, knowing full well if they were to actually set foot in some of those countries, just because of their lifestyle and their liberalism and everything like that, they might not be they might not survive, or they'll just be deleted or unalive just because of a certain lifestyle that is not approved of in the Middle East. If I'm just clarifying it right. So I see the hypocrisy on both sides. So in my philosophy, that's why I was like, I actually had the philosophy that I was just gonna go and start my own party, the Shave Supremacist Party. That's it.
Interesting. But realistically speaking, the only thing that's going to play a huge role in fixing the political system, there has to be a strong, viable third party candidate. Otherwise, it's going to be the same thing every year. We're going to have to pick the two candidates, which are for almost every conceivable election are seriously flawed. And basically, it's just like which one of the lesser evils do you choose to vote for?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's this. After I got doxxed, for some reason, I feel stronger because I just sit back and I just see the lies that are actually being spilt about me. You could actually see that it's bad acting, and you just have to look and see a person who's telling a lie about me or anybody else who I'm connected with. You never seen me in life, don't know anything about me. Oh, you could go and And I never thought in my life that I would actually be made fun of for being a homeowner. Like, it, I mean, to me, it's funny because what certain people could talk about and brag about investments and everything, people don't understand if a neighborhood gets gentrified, 9 times out of 10, your house value will go up. So it's a win-win situation all the way, right, Don Jose?
Yeah, I get your I get your point, but I mean, unfortunately, this is going to continue for years to come, and basically, all the I hate to say the normal candidates get eliminated in the primaries. So what happens is we have to make a choice between the lesser of two evils, but at least try to learn as much as you can regarding the candidate that you are supporting.
Exactly. I mean, aside from politics and everything, all right. I do know that there's a social issue that's going on, mainly on the East Coast and maybe on the South. So I haven't been in New York ever since we linked up for the Dominican parade. Don Jose. So in New York, has it been any news about that certain Venezuelan street organization, or that just been not in the news lately in New York?
To be perfectly honest, I haven't heard any news about it either way.
Right. But on a sad news though, out here in Philadelphia, a up and coming rapper by the name of YBC Duel, he's actually known by the moniker Mr. Disrespectful, actually got unalived today. So I guess that will be big news in my side of part of town because apparently he was a up and coming rapper, and and the thing is though, between the young rappers and everything, there's been kind of a street war that's been going on where there's a lot of young lives that actually has been unalived actually, and you're seeing a lot of young men on all sides being deleted or going going with the ABC boys. It's to the point that I guess the amount of violence that's been happening is because of I guess the new subgenre which is called drill music. So when a person gets deleted, they actually make a song dissing that person, and that's what actually I intensify the street violence amongst young men. At a time like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, before anything, the highest rates of deletions was actually in the 400s and the 500s. Like I remember every summer. Now I guess it's at a lower rate, but still a lot of intrapersonal beats be happening. And sad to say, you have a lot of deletions this year in Philadelphia this summer alone. So it's crazy.
I mean, it's no coincidence that I actually devoted two streams this week regarding the topic of self deletion because it is a serious issue which doesn't get discussed nearly enough.
You're actually right because if you really look at it, I mean, in the Caribbean culture. I'm just saying as a whole. I don't care if you're Rican, Dominican, Jamaican, Cuban. You have two. You have like maybe two or three sides of societies, right? You have a society that's the general norm. Oh, let's not talk mental health. So it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. So if a person who's going through a mental break or anything, I mean, in the Dominican Republic, they'll be like, "Oh, está loco," and you might see a person acting unnormal and whatsoever. But the thing is, though, like within certain communities and everything, a lot of people are not actually educated on what mental health is. So they'll actually think, oh, this person's just crazy, when the fact is they do not actually have the expertise or the knowledge to actually diagnose that person on what that person's particular problem is. And I was actually talking to a friend who's from Jamaica. So I guess she has her mental health struggles also. She was telling me that in the Caribbean, especially in Jamaica, where she's from, there's still a lot of people who do not understand what she goes through. So therefore, she was telling me like how it's hard, not only to try to explain to her family members what's going on, but then if she might be acting erratic or anything like that, you will have certain people that actually shun a person who's going through a mental breakdown because they do not know any better. So it looks like that, I guess, for all the Caribbean, I'm not gonna go around and say, pinpoint one country or anything. But I actually think that as a Caribbean society, everybody needs to be educated, at least for mental health and such. Because at the end of the day, if you're gonna go and shun a person just because they're having a mental health breakdown, at the end of the day, what goes around comes around. That might be you in the future. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, that's my take. I think, like I said, um, the DNC was definitely more livelier than the RNC. Um, I didn't get the sense that it was all, the me. I got the sense that, they're trying, that, at least superficially, that they're, um, that they're, candidate, people who do care about the well-being of this country. Okay, so apparently there's some music in the background. Yeah, well, Sexy Red is another. She's another story altogether. I mean, she's basically the person I guess you cannot deal with.
Exactly.
So I'm going to start to wrap this up. What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is, even though I didn't watch the DNC or anything of that matter, my thing is that I think that conventions are played out. I mean, you're just actually having a spectacle to see who might be your voters or whatever, and who's not going to be your voters. So, I mean, I'm not really even trying to focus on the politics and everything like that, because at the end of the day, people will bombard you with media. But in the same token, I'm just over it.
Okay, well, in any case, thank you very much, Don Armando, for stopping by. I'm just going to give you my
It's my
final thought.
pleasure.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you my final thoughts. It was definitely more livelier than the RNC. Okay, and when you think about the RNC, you're thinking about the past. When you think about the DNC, you're thinking about the future. And unfortunately, there's certain hypocrisy that exists um, with both parties. When everything is said and done, just do your due diligence who you got to support. So at least that way you know what's expected should that person does become successful. In any case, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone in the chat, and a huge shout out to all those who are catching on the playback. Thank you, Donna Manto, for stopping by. Um, so I'm gonna call this a night, and of course, I'm gonna close the same way that I always close. Yep, I agree. It was very entertaining. Okay. So we must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by their stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. I will be live Monday night at 10 o'clock with a new topic. With that being said, enjoy your weekend, take care, and peace.